Hello, all. Today is Thursday, August 12th, and I'm back with another trade journal walkthrough. So today wasn't the best trading day, still a green day, but not the best. I didn't actually trade through all of the cash that I have allocated for options trading either, just because of how trades were going that I was in. So we have one win today to look over, and then two losses, and then an update on the swing with Cat. So the win was with Apple. It's actually a trade that I entered in twice. So I was stopped out, and then I got another re-entry, and then was stopped out again. And as you can see, it's still going right now. So that's why I was kind of frustrated as well. It is good to keep in mind that you can always re-enter, obey your stops, and you can always re-enter. But these types of trading days where it's just kind of on and off. A lot of my entries were triggered at open and then like completely dumped the opposite direction. And, you can definitely adjust your strategy to do what you see price doing, meaning, if it's reversing the other way, plot your targets and, see if you can enter on that reversal for a put. But ultimately, I like to do it where, I'm setting up for one scenario, and then if that isn't triggering, moving on to the next scenario that I set up. But a lot of stuff today just kind of dumped. So let's take a look at the win first, Apple. So let's see, I got in on the 15-minute here. So this was on my orange list, so not my green list. So typically, what I'll do in the morning, this happens with the green list too. So like, for instance, some of the stuff that didn't trigger, I have like alerts on. Why didn't that go off? That's weird. That might be a lingering alert I didn't pay attention to, but like Dow, for instance. Well, I thought I had an example to show of that, but I don't. But sometimes, like I said, I will put alerts on the back end of these orb range. So, wow, Apple is still really going. So that's what I did in this case, and I got in here on the 15-minute. I'm showing it on the 15-minute because that's where that's where I identified the bullish continuation. But ultimately, I did hop in like here. So not right when it triggered this. I hopped in when it triggered crossing my orb strategy. Then I pretty much monitored between the 5-minute and the 3-minute. So in this case, I exited first here. That looks like that would have been a 3-minute exit. Yep, so it went 2 down. I just, immediately got out, and that was for a 23% gain for the 148 weekly Friday expiration call. And that's kind of why I'm getting immediately out too on these lower time frames, because I'm playing the more risky weeklies. If they were, 820 expiration next week Friday, might go to a higher time frame before exiting. So I then re-entered again. It didn't say what time frame, but that doesn't look like a reversal, so I'm guessing this would have been the 5. Let's see what the 9 looks like at that point. So I maybe just hopped in on this continuation. Actually, let me look at the 3 one more time. Okay, yeah, I entered on the 3. So the 3-2 up is where I got in again. And then I ultimately got out on this 2-1-2 bearish reversal to the downside. You can see it's still ticking up. And that was a 32% gain. And that time I went for the 149's expiration. So that is Apple. Moving on to GE. So this one was a loss, a pretty significant loss. And I think what I have to learn from this is picking a strike that's a bit further out if I'm playing weeklies on Thursdays. Because I typically, if I'm getting out this quickly on a lower time frame, I'm expecting like 5% loss or being able to manage a break even, but I got in pretty much like up here, and that was again based off of the orb strategy crossing, and then I got out on this 2 down immediately that I saw, and that was 15% loss. So I got in around here, got out around here. That's why it's, what is that? 107.27 down to 106.71. So like pretty significant. So that was a quick trade, 15% loss. Moving on to Fifth Third Bank. So as a reminder, I wanted to get the 820.40 strike for looking as soon as this month reversed. So for a 2-2 reversal to the upside. So it did that, and it came back in. So if we go back to, so I got in as soon as it crossed 38.87. And what's this line here? Don't know. But I got in as soon as it crossed 38.87, which is the previous month's high. So that made a 2-2 bullish reversal. And in this case, so we aren't looking at like strat entries on the slower time frame, but that's when I got in. So that would have been somewhere on this candle. And I ultimately did track this on lower time frames because it did immediately reverse. So if this had, gone up and stayed above, I wouldn't have been using lower time frames to plan my exit. But because it was hovering, right around this entry, I wanted to watch it more precisely. So I ultimately got out on the second 2 down. And I think I moved that little bubble to say what percentage the loss was. Okay, yeah, it was a 5% loss. So not too crazy. And again, that's because I was using the 820 expiration 40 strike. So that's why I was, comfortable, like, okay, I'm going to hold it, through, if I get another 2 down, I'm out, because I could always re-enter, of course. And the thing to note is for these, for initial entries, I typically will only buy one contract. And that is, I treat it as like kind of like a entrance fee or a pay to play. And the reason I like to do that is, with the platforms I use, Webull and TD Ameritrade. Webull I primarily use for options trading, and TD Ameritrade for my, dividend account. But sometimes I will trade options in the TD Ameritrade. I'm just trying to learn that interface. But with that said, I'm not always confident that the bid-ask spread that I'm being shown or the last price that I'm being shown is completely up to date. And I like, buying that one contract and seeing, where I feel like when that contract gets filled, the data that I'm getting within my my view is more accurate. I don't know if that's true or not, but in my experience, I found that sometimes, Webull in the option chain will be showing a last price that is lower or higher than where we're actually at. So I see that as a buy-in ticket. So at this point, I only had one contract here. G was a little cheaper, so I think I actually had about 2 contracts of G. It just depends but it's definitely like in the 1 to 2 range. So yeah, that's Fifth Third Bank. Stopped out of that. And then finally CAT. So CAT, I wish I would have looked at open, but it like gapped up. Let's actually take a look. Yeah, so it opened here and it ran up a bit and then came back in on itself. And I'm pretty sure I was at like 25 to 30% gain at that point. It did eventually reach my stop, which is that red line there. So if we go back, and this again was the 240 contract I bought for like September 17th as a swing experimentation. So if I was truly holding to the experiment, I would have just held this because the idea would be to base my exits off of how the week is doing since it's so far out. But it just felt weird, letting having the risk of that go to zero. So I think psychologically, I'm probably just going to try a cheaper option to run that again off of a monthly trigger. And that option, I don't remember. It was like 160, I think, is what I paid for it. So you're not, not terribly high, but more than I want to pay for an experiment, essentially. So if that does go to zero. So with that said, I did stop myself out. So might re-enter that. Actually, let me set that alert now. That is, what does that say? Okay, yeah, 219.79. 219.70. Well, we'll do 73 and then just look at it if it reaches that. So yeah, that was Cat, and that's my trading day, and mainly because 2 losses, 3 if we're including my swing, which I didn't say what that ended at. It was like a 1% gain, so technically it wasn't a loss, but that's why I had to stop there. And Apple, okay, kept going. It's coming back in. So yeah, that's the trading day. To the question on if I do trading recaps of the setups. So I typically won't go over, all of the setups that I had, but I'll just do a quick little run through based on that question. So I'll go through, what I traded that day, but just for today, just to show you all, because a lot of these did not. Yeah, wow, this went and did a 3 gap. So it did trigger, but it came back in on itself, and that's a lot of what I was seeing in the morning, which is why I didn't enter any of these. So Oxy, it did trigger. That would have been the strike we were looking at. Dow did trigger, but opened below. Yeah, came back in on itself. So that's a lot of what I was seeing: opening, going, and then just coming back down. DraftKings, interesting. Live, kind of. Okay, so it came up here already today. I thought that was an initial crossing of the orb. That would be a signal for me to enter, but it's still potentially. So this was the entry right here. So it crossed over that, and target was going to be target for this one is 53.97. So looking at the 53 or 53.50 contracts. Per my earlier insight, though, I think those closer contracts, are a greater risk in terms of turning against. So yeah, I don't know if this one goes. Let's see what this looks like on the 15. Okay, so this just did that. Let's see what this looks like on the 5. Yeah, we'll do a little live look right here. If this goes 222 bullish continuation on the 3, I might hop in. Actually, I want a quick trade. That just made a big move, though. So when it makes a big move like that, I do like to have it, have a continuation or reversal on a higher time frame. Okay, so that's 222 bullish continuation on DraftKings. I will potentially enter this. So yeah, I'm going to hop off now. I'll update on this trade tomorrow. Thank you all for watching, and please like and subscribe and ask any questions you have. Okay, and I am back, and we'll edit in this update on the DraftKings trade. So I entered here on this bullish 222 continuation, and then I ultimately entered when what looked like it was going to down. It did ultimately come back up and made a 3, but fighting time frame continuity across this threshold here on the 15 minute. And I really am just kind of done for today. So yeah, I took a 17% gain on this, and I'm very happy with that. So see you all later this evening for setups for tomorrow.